The customer is loyal as soon as their expectations are met. And if that product lives up to the expectations of the one who receives it, then they'll probably stay there. And you've had the growth, there's a significant growth across almost all industries that you've had for these many years, then innovation stops.
Navigating social media can be, well, complicated. Welcome to the Social Media Sucks podcast from Cubco.
Social media. Really sucks.
Where we unpack the latest trends and help remove the suck from social media.
Welcome back to the Social Media Sucks podcast by Cubco. If you ever experienced the fear of missing out when it comes to social media or marketing trends, then this is definitely the right place for you. We help you elevate your business and marketing skills by covering the latest topics within social media and through our inspiring guests. But before we start, if you're not already following us on our YouTube channel or subscribing to our podcast, then this is your chance. It really helps us get all this inspiring education out there for more business people and marketing people just like yourself. So let's get into it.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
I'm always impressed. Good job.
Thank you. Okay.
Nice.
I get to stick around for another one.
Yeah. One more. Just one more. We'll see what happens.
Add in the
after
chirp when he's quiet. I'm like, yep.
One more. You get one more. Good
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
So today with me we have Zvi Goldstein, is hopefully how it's pronounced. Yeah. Who is the previously CMO of Interflora, and now enjoying a little bit of free life for a while before the next venture. And then of course we have our present CEO of Cubco.
I'm not taking a sabbatical yet, but soon maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Good to have you, Chris Covenus.
Thanks. Good to be here. Again.
In your
as
office.
usual.
Yeah. So first and foremost, thank you so much for joining us, and please tell us a little bit about you, your career, and we can dive into Interflora afterwards.
Well, I'm 44, so I have some experience, but still many years to go. I actually started out on the agency side, and I've been on the agency side for 12 years, 3 different media agencies, starting off as a trainee in a job I had no idea what was, but back then it was very difficult to get a job, so we were just happy to get in somewhere.
Get it.
Just to get it.
Yeah.
And it was a full-time job. I still had 1 year left on my master's. It paid $18,000 a month, but no free time, so you could just take the exams on the side and study in the evening.
Okay.
And again, back then you just wanted to foot in the job market, so you took the job.
Yeah.
I ended up staying in media agencies for 12 years and ended up as a CSO of Mediacom for 4 years. And one of my clients was Interflora. And the CEO called me one day and asked if I knew anybody. And I called him back the day after and I said, yeah, I know somebody.
Yeah,
I know me.
pretty well actually.
I know me. And then I've actually been with Interflora for 6 years.
Yeah.
And the reason I came on board was because they were getting ready to be sold and so on, and needed to a bit more getting the whole marketing and tech part of the business.
Yeah, you like growing.
Like growing, yeah. So actually it was just me when we started.
Just like Chris.
Yeah.
And around 350,000, 400,000 orders a year. And last year there were 17 people in the MarTech department.
That's
and 1.2 million orders.
Okay.
So that was
Significant increase.
Yeah.
So that was great 6 years.
Yeah. 4 times growth.
Yeah.
Roughly. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And thanks. And 2 buyouts and
Yeah.
so that was great.
Yeah. What's the most important learnings you had as CMO?
The most important learning as CMO is that things do not go as fast as I would like, and especially when you have the development team on board as well. You need to have respect for that part of the business. They can do it faster, but then it just won't work. So you need to have respect, and you need to respect the process.
Yeah.
And that could be difficult sometimes when you need something to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
especially when it's so tied with product, your line of the business. Like
Exactly.
you guys, you have to be hand in hand.
Exactly.
Quite hardcore. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the advice you would give, marketeers who want to aspire to a position similar to yours? Patience?
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky because I had both in my team. But in, I think, 99% of all businesses, it's actually two separate parts. You'll have the development department with your front end, back end, UX, and so on, and then you'll have your marketing, hopefully with both e-commerce and normal marketing branding together, and not divided as well. And the people who actually do the development do not only care for marketing and developing what you need to be able to move forward and getting more orders. They actually also make sure that things just work. So you need to have respect, and you need to be able to really show then, okay, what's the business case in this? Why is this important? Why do I need
Why
this?
is there synergy here?
And again, I think that because there's not a lot of back end and not enough front end people out there, you'll probably almost be understaffed always. So you really need to make sure that what you need to have and not just nice to have when it comes to development.
Yeah, that's been a problem for many years. I think like the lack of software engineers, the lack of developers has been hitting everybody pretty hard, right? I mean, and you have to compete with the Googles and the Facebooks of the world, and that are just eating up the market, right? And so I think you're right. You have to really prioritize what is it that we're developing, and we can't necessarily go into full innovation mode and do this cool thing over here and do that. It's like we have to have a roadmap that makes sense and that is actually contributing to business value. Otherwise, you're just going to waste a lot of time running in all sorts of directions.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and when it's a volume business like Interflora is, then it's not good enough just to develop something that'll give you an additional 200, 300 orders a year. That's like okay. That's the difference between a good and a bad day.
Did you have any issues scaling up that amount of orders from 300,000 to 1.2 million? Like what was the changes that had to happen also?
Well, actually, when I started the both back end and front end wasn't a legacy system, but it was very close. It's, one of those systems. So you go to take a cup of water, and the coffee machine starts half of the times. So we changed the whole back end, we changed the whole front end, we changed the whole ERP system, we changed everything and made it from scratch. Because when volumes really hit, Mother's Day, Valentine's, Father's Day, it's just a matter of time, what time of day that everything would crash.
Yeah, okay.
And because Interflora is a business where the orders are not shipped from Interflora,
right?
The orders go into the Interflora website, and then they need to go to the right florist who's close to where the person who's actually receiving the flowers lives. Then nothing can crash there. So even though Interflora DK was functioning and everything was working, the orders were coming in. There's no fulfillment because they're not going on.
Still has
to
to
the
have
florist.
that leg. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah, the developing part is insane. I have a friend who's a developer and setting up this. Actually, one of his clients was a flower shop, like a local one. And he's like, it's insane the combinations of bouquets, and then the time slots, and then the different locations and to whom addresses. And he was like dead tired from all the combinations of just products.
Exactly, and it's a rough environment, so you can't even. It doesn't work just having an iPad and receiving the orders on an iPad. If you're a florist, you actually need it printed out.
Yeah,
because it's cold, it's wet, you have sticky fingers working with the flowers. So you don't need to operate something that has a glass screen, and because it is florist, and there's a big difference if you'll have florists who are
tech savvy or
a bit tech savvy, and then you'll have those who are not at all.
What? I thought florists were like the most advanced people on the planet.
Some are almost, but then again, you'll have a florist calling in and saying, "Why haven't I received any orders all day? And what's going on? Normally I get 100 or 150.
Printer's broken.
Do you have paper in the printer?"
Oh my god!
Yeah, I forgot that. So issues like that.
Yeah, that sounds about right. No, I mean, I have all respect. I mean, I love florists. I think I love my florist. Shout out to Susan.
Oh, okay, you have a cousin. Okay, I'm like, damn.
I'm totally joking. I'm totally joking.
I don't. That's receiving all those flowers.
I'm totally joking. I don't have a florist. Yeah. But yeah, I do think like it's an interesting business, and I think it's one that also is it's been around for years, and it's like will continue to be. And I think what's interesting about Interflora, and I want to also get back to your sort of journey, but what's interesting about Interflora is like you guys have really stepped up the business in terms of omni-channel marketing. You guys have also really stepped up the business in terms of also that front end and back end development. Like, I've taken a little look. The site's lightning fast. Like probably one of the fastest e-commerce sites I've ever seen, which is unreal. And of course, like that goes to your guys' very smart strategy and your very insightful look at, okay, what do consumers want? They want super fast sites. They want to get in. They want to get out. What does Google want? Google wants the same thing. It's nice. It's good imagery. It's sort of well put together. When you come in, you feel like you're getting a quality product. It's no, it doesn't look like it's just some cookie cutter, here's this bouquet. It's like it's all custom done. So you feel like it's a quality product. So it's kudos to you guys. I think it's really impressive work.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So can you tell us, speaking of like this journey you guys had with with building the team and managing the marketing team, how's that been?
Well, if we just put aside the whole tech part of it, then the way that the team was built was, and I don't know if that's a legacy because I come from the agency side, but I believe that the people who work on the client side need to be generalists. The people who are specialists work at the agency side. Your guys' line of business. Why would I be able to get a kick-ass social media person who can both do strategy, content, buying, everything across the line? And one thing, how can I get the kick-ass person to work for me in Vallensbæk? Takes an hour with public transportation if you don't have a car.
Yeah.
How can I keep sure that person keeps on educating and is kick-ass without having peers that they work together with? And that person needs a holiday. That person maybe gets a new job and so on. So it's too vulnerable. And if I was a kick-ass social media person, I would like to work in an environment like this. I would like to have fermentoren in my backyard. I would like to work with no, but seriously, this is an environment I would like to work in, and that doesn't matter if I'm a social media person, if I do search, if I do SEO, whatever. If I'm a specialist, I want to work with other specialists, and I want to work in an inspiring, cool environment. Not because Interflora isn't a nice office. You'll be very surprised. It is.
I'm sure it is.
But you don't have that same environment as you do on the agencies. I don't want the trouble of educating and making sure that that person would be the greatest of all time, all the time.
I think that's also the not to talk too much inside baseball as it's called, but I think that's also the case for all agencies. I mean, we, in terms of retaining people, in terms of attracting the right talent, that is where we can maybe be somewhat different than being an in-house, like what you guys are doing. But I do think, like, also for us, we're always talking about how do we keep people through also who they're working with in the team, like. And it is a struggle, right? Because you constantly want to level people up, and that person, when they get to a certain level, they want to work with somebody who is a bit above their level, right? So you constantly are playing this sort of
catch
game,
up
motivation,
like,
and also like you got to see the growth in that team. Like, if it's a paid media person that wants to do bigger things, like if they've sort of reached the level that they're at when it comes to what your agency can offer, then it's like, well, where do they go? They have to go somewhere else, right? So it's tough for, I think, agencies as well. We need to continue to elevate and continue to inspire those employees with new team members and new growth,
retain talent.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you're right. I mean, that's the hard part for any organization.
Yeah. So did you guys outsource a lot, or
almost only outsourced?
Okay.
If it was CRM, whatever, marketing automation, everything, was outsourced, and yes, it is more expensive. But then again, I'll meet my peers who, with the same marketing budget that we had in Interflora, well, obviously we were 16, 17 people. They're 70 because they've insourced everything. But again, it is more expensive to outsource. But I still believe that you'll get the amount you pay more to get that outsourced from specialists and agencies is definitely worth the money. and I haven't experienced the opposite thing. You'll need to have the size of Momondo or Danske Spil, huge clients,
huge e-commerce,
huge e-commerce clients, Minto,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Then you actually have an in-house agency.
That's true.
And that makes sense in another way. But having 1-2 people within each special competency, just I don't believe it makes sense. It's better to go to the agencies, let them have the headache of people quitting, let them have the headache of people needing to get educated. If my paid social media person at an agency quits, I would expect somebody else to be there the day after.
Definitely. Yeah,
that's
if
true.
if I hired a person and they quit, it would take me 2 to 3 months to find a new person.
On top of what you already do, and
and it's going to slow you down big time, right? So I 100% agree. I think so. Speaking of agency world, are you going to go back? Is that your future? Because I know you probably don't want to talk about this. Yeah, exactly. You want to be a specialist? We got lots of. We could give you any specialist title you want.
I'll tell you why I left to the other side. And I actually clearly remember the day, even though it's 6 years ago. And I remember going. I had 30 people, middle leaders, and so on and so on. And I was at a point where, when am I part of client meetings and solving client issues is when something's wrong.
So you're a firefighter.
I'm a firefighter. And I could see just every time a cool assignment comes home, nice brief arrives, everybody else is doing it, I'm signing off. But that's not the same as doing the work.
That's true.
So everybody else is getting smarter, and I'm just staying put. At worst, I'm actually getting a bit dumber every day. But
that's interesting.
Yeah,
I need to go home. I need to be part of the family. I can't stay till 9 o'clock and so on.
Yeah.
And these are young people just running 120 kilometers an hour, having fun and solving problems. And now the client is unhappy. Okay, bring 3 in. And I remember the exact day I had meetings all day. The first meeting I think was the launch of Skoda Fabia, and I was at the meeting because their marketing director was there, so I had to be there. Then going on to Realkredit Denmark, which is house mortgaging. Then going on to a meeting with Vivac. Do you know what the word is in English? Skidesvamp.
Okay.
What's that in English? I have no idea.
Skidesvamp. Well, it's a
fungus.
Yeast infection.
Yeah, yeast infection.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice. And that's also a product. And going back, then wanted to go back to my desk, answering some emails, and a guy called Jesper, one of my employees, comes and said, "What are you doing?" I'm going back to my desk to work, answer emails. No, we have a meeting now with I think they were called CSR or CVR, which is Danske Bank's like huge clients like Maersk, and so which is really boring B2B. And then I just
you're like, do I really want to do this?
Yeah, and you can always be, but you probably know this. You can come into any meeting and you can see somebody else is doing a presentation, and even though you have no idea what the brief is, who's talking, who's saying, you'll always be able to say something.
It's true. I'm good at that.
I
think you can tell that. I've got a good skill for BS.
And then you can BS for 3 or 4 minutes. Everybody looks, smiling, nodding. Oh, the big chief was here. And okay, that's it. On to the next meeting. Doing the same drill. Probably even saying something.
It's a little bit of a like a beauty pageant. Just bring out the CEO. Looks good. Why not? But you're right. I mean, and also I think it's what's interesting that you point out is like that skills dampening or that non-sharpness that happens, that dulling that happens if you aren't engaged in projects. This happened, like when I started the agency, I was the lead social strategist. I knew more than anybody else, and I would kick ass. Now it's like everyone else has surpassed me. Like I'm asking them, like, what do we do with TikTok? What are we doing with TikTok? And then it's like, it's so nice to see. It's actually refreshing in some ways when you can kind of let go of the reins and be like, there's much, there's more sharp people in this area, in that area. I just have to show up. But I do agree that it's also a question that we talk to, or it's also something I talk with our chief strategy officer, David, about, because he loves to be in projects because he's worried about that exactly, that he's gonna just be the guy that shows up to the meetings and is like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And
Looks
so I think
nice.
we've all been there, and
Yeah.
I think it's very insightful of you that you've recognized that was happening,
Yeah.
and that you're like, maybe I don't want to do this.
Yeah, don't give him good ideas. Be like, I'm gonna take a leave, guys.
Who says I haven't already taken that?
True.
I mean, like,
Yeah, and that's one thing, and the other thing was that even though you close your emails at 10 o'clock in the evening, and let's say the miracle happens and your inbox is empty, when you wake up in the morning, there's
full
lots
again.
of emails again, because people are up in the US or somewhere in Asia and sending emails. They need this, they need that. And I think actually it took me 12 years in an agency. I think it actually took me 5 or 6 years before I learned that when a client says, I need it tomorrow, and you say, can have it next week, Wednesday, they say yes.
it's true.
But I think a lot of young people at agencies are not aware of this necessarily, and sometimes they need it tomorrow. They need to deliver it tomorrow. But a
That
lot of
does
the
happen
time,
too.
Yeah, it does happen.
You got to know when it is, really. like-
exactly.
And I think that's also a learning, that finding out when that is, and just talking with the client and be like,
Yeah.
we can do this for now, or like, and sometimes it's not the full delivery, sometimes it's partial delivery, sometimes it's whatever, right? But I do think, and I think marketing has changed dramatically in the last 5 to 10 years, where like speed to market is sort of key. So if a client says like, we need to jump on this meme trend or this thing that's really hot right now, it's also fun for the team sometimes just to go into meme mode, if you want to call it that, and start delivering something that's like hot now. And that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. But those tend to also be very low deliveries, like a few hours and you've banged it out.
Yeah.
So, but I agree with you. Where do you find out what's needed now? What's
Yeah,
now?
and you're absolutely right. When I started in the business, which 12 years plus 6, so that's 18 years ago. Digital wasn't divided in agencies. It was just if you worked in digital, you did search, you did
Everything.
display,
Yeah,
you
you're
did
not
everything.
specialized,
You're not specialized. You're a specialist in digital, but,
Yeah.
but not across platforms. And then you'll have your client people. And there's a big difference in a client wanted to do TV, which has to be booked a month in advance, or print maybe 2 months in advance. So the time to market is very different from jumping on the meme train or something like that. Definitely, you're right.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. Media has also changed a bit in that direction. Like, how quick can you get a billboard nowadays is reduced, because the digital billboards basically like they have some space available, right? So if you kind of work it out, like right now we're trying to figure out some billboards in the US to jump on sort of a trend that happened, and it seems available, where I was like, there's no way we're going to be able to buy space there. But it is, which is kind of funny to see that the whole industry is sort of moving towards fast activation.
Yeah.
We'll see where it leads.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you? I'm curious to ask more about Interflora. How do you target people? Can you even map out your customers and stakeholders? Like, who are the core?
Well, I when I started with Interflora, luckily I knew them because it had been my clients. So I knew that everything was a bit different, because 99% of all orders are bought for somebody else. So I would know that Chris is buying something for Anne. And
Just to be clear here, I don't have a girlfriend named Anne.
Sorry, your
If my wife is listening,
There's no Anne. Just
just to be clear,
oh my god.
getting me in hot
Where's your
water.
wedding ring?
It's right here.
Oh,
It's right here. It's right here. Okay, there's no Anne.
We can look it up in the order system.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
if you
You're like putting me in hot water here. Let's figure out who Chris's side piece is.
Getting hot in here, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, some
So
great,
that's a good
there's
example.
some
I like
great,
this.
there's some
Keep
great
going with
Valentine's
this.
Day
I like
examples,
this,
but
yeah.
we can talk about them later. But Anne would buy Chris would buy something to Anne, and we will actually have more information on Anne, because we need the address, we know the product she's getting,
Occasion.
not yet,
Oh, okay.
but we know all the other stuff. But the person who's actually buying, who is our customer, we just know it's Chris.
Yeah.
And maybe you put in your last name, maybe you gave us your email address, and so on, but we don't really need it.
No.
So that's an issue. the gift market
And
online
the end
is an
user
issue.
is different than
The end
buyer.
user is different. And why did Chris buy? Because there's something happening to Anne, or her birthday.
She's dying. She's dead.
She's dead. That's a big part of the business.
Yeah, his
by the
wife
way.
found out. She's dead.
Exactly. Just
So that is a big part of the
This is the
business.
scenario.
Condolences and,
Yeah.
and funeral bouquets. So the issue is, I do not know. I would probably know somehow when Anne is in a position where she maybe should receive a gift of some sort, but then who's going to buy it for her? And how do I then target Chris? Because I know Anne's information, and just retargeting her and keep pushing her is not going to make anybody give her something. So a lot of work, we looked into it pretty simply. Actually, we looked into and saw that it takes approximately 7 minutes to order a bouquet on Interflora DK.
Okay.
And 4.5 minutes I actually spend on writing the card.
Okay.
So that means that the choice of bouquet and the exit, it's pretty fast. And then we would use, we used Hotjar just to check out, okay, so what's actually happening when people are writing the card text. And you can see Chris going in there writing, "Hi Anne, delete. Dear Anne, I hope everything is," delete. And that would go on for 4.5 minutes every time. Sometimes people would write the whole card text, delete everything, and write it again.
Really?
Yeah. Most of the calls to customer service would be, "I wrote something wrong in my card. Could I please change it?"
Yeah.
Because it has nothing to do with the bouquet.
No.
It's about the message that you're giving.
Of course.
You're giving somebody a gift, but it could be anything. The reason people are receiving this is because you're delivering a happy birthday or get well or congratulations with a new house or whatever. So it's the message you want to give across.
The thought.
The thought. Exactly. It's the thought that counts. So what do you do when you have 2,000 orders every day and 2,000 card texts? That's a lot of student assistance if you want to read that text and find out what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we actually did together with an agency called Responsive,
Yeah. No.
we made, sounds easy. It wasn't easy. We made a proprietary AI that could actually read the card text.
Yeah. Find out what the occasion is.
I know what the occasion is, I know what the intent is, and I know what the relation is. Because again, Chris and Anne are the sister and brother, mother and son.
Can it read that? Try to figure out that within the context.
98% accuracy. You can
That's
actually
insane.
say the intent, the occasion, and the relation.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's cool.
And that's powerful,
Yeah.
especially in a marketing automation CRM perspective.
Yeah. Because you want that reason, like that's that trigger. Like that's what makes people buy. What is that event? What is that thing that you need to get to? And then in order to trigger. And then you can organize your marketing around that. If you see like 80% of purchases are birthday, and then you can sort of work around that.
Is there any surprising findings when you got data that you didn't expect?
I think that there was actually a lot of surprises. One of the surprises was that back in the days we named the products because we thought that would help people. So you could, for example, have a birthday bouquet, or you can have a romantic bouquet. And we were selling a lot of romantic bouquets. So naturally we thought, okay, a lot of love is going out there. But and you could have probably thought of that before the AI, but still, you know how it is. Sometimes you find out afterwards. But the reason why the romantic bouquet was selling so much is because not 70% of all buyers were women, and it was the prettiest bouquet. And it had nothing to do with love. It had something to do with they were actually choosing what they liked. Whereas men, they were using, okay, that's the birthday, that's romantic, that's anniversary.
You need to tell me.
Okay. Oh my
tell me
god,
what it is.
So stereotypical.
But it is so fucking true. Like, excuse my language here, but man, we need help with this stuff. We don't know what is a nice looking bouquet. Oh, we just have a problem with that. But tell me, is this a romantic one? Is this
is this for my dad, or is this for my mistress?
Yeah, it's like you got to tell me. Is this the dad bouquet? Is this the welcome to your new home bouquet? Yeah, you need to tell me because I have no freaking clue.
Exactly, and there's actually flowers have different meanings, so you don't just if your coworker has a birthday, you don't go in there and send a bouquet of red roses.
Could have been nice.
Something else. No, but that means something else.
Yeah, true.
And so on and so on. So
yeah,
you
exactly.
need help.
We need help. I completely agree with you. So that's
Yeah.
interesting. That's
Yeah.
a good finding.
So that was actually pretty powerful.
But what isn't most of your buyers men though, or is it
70% women?
70% women?
Yes.
I would have guessed it's the
But
other
why
way.
does that happen? You have a wife.
Well, I guess I'm not buying her enough.
Women are more
flowers.
considerate.
You have a wife, right?
I think.
You have a wife, right?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you send
I
flowers
think
to your
right
friends?
now, as of right now, I do. We'll see after the podcast.
Probably
She finds
have
out about Anne.
Yeah, probably have a conversation about Anne. But
Yeah.
but have you ever sent flowers to anybody? Not you, but
Well,
you
yeah,
as
I've
a
sent
family.
flowers to my mom. I've sent flowers to people who've given birth.
Have you sent the flowers,
Yeah.
or did your wife make sure to
No,
remind
I
you?
send them, but
Okay.
they were because they were my side of the family.
Okay, so you're
it's
the
like-
exception.
Yeah,
Because most of the time it would be
wife.
the wife
Yeah, that's
going
true.
in and
And sending flowers. Yeah.
those-
On behalf.
Very
if-
true.
I don't know if you have a boyfriend, but if you have a boyfriend, no. But if you had a boyfriend, you would probably be the one reminding him, remember to send flowers to your mom, it's her birthday. Remember to send flowers to your mom because it's Mother's Day. Mother's Day arrived. Did you order the bouquet? No, he didn't. Okay, I did.
Okay.
So you did. You ordered it for him. And that what happens.
Yeah.
Women
Yeah,
are
that
just
does.
more considerate.
Yeah, they're typically the social aspect of the relationship.
Yeah,
They also, like, my wife keeps us, connected to our friends. It's
exactly.
not me booking dinner dates with friends or organizing, play dates in the park.
Exactly.
It's her. Like,
You just show up.
yeah, I just fly the drone, man. Like, that's what they say at the agency here
Yeah.
when we want to get out of responsibility. I just fly the drone. That's all I do here. So
And then you'll also get, and I don't know if that's if that's a particular Danish thing, or you'll see that across borders as well. But I can't remember in the 6 years where I've had meetings with vendors or agencies and so on, people who we were working with, which were men. And when I asked them, why don't you send a bouquet to your wife? Then the stupid response will always be, no, she'll probably think I did something wrong.
it's very true. Yeah, there's a consideration.
And that's a really strange barrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a
but it
strange barrier.
exists.
Yeah, it does.
It exists.
Yeah. Because I think that's it's interesting. There used to be this culture of like buying your wife or your girlfriend flowers just because, but those things have there needs to be an occasion to that. So
Yeah.
So how did you guys then go from 300,000 orders to 1.2? Because you're still working within the same parameters of what occasions are out there, and if 70% of your buyers are women, like, are they buying more bouquets for themselves? Are they buying more like, what is the driver behind that? That's super interesting to me. Like, what happened?
There's two things. One of the things is that Interflora had a very substantial marketing budget.
Okay.
And when you don't know who you actually need to expose to be able at that time to be able to get more orders, then you need to be the classical always on and
Yeah.
push people.
Okay.
So that was a big part of it was
Exposure, like getting as
exposure.
much brand awareness as possible.
we had the best comparison I can do is you know the old steam engine trains.
Yeah.
Just going out there, TV,
Just-
and it doesn't matter if it's flow or the digital TV across
interesting.
channels. Just going out there, but because it is emotions, then just doing a flat display of a bouquet is just why?
Yeah.
Who am I? And that's just targeting people in a black hole. But just pushing on and doing a really amazing creative assets. So a lot of money was put into those assets, who have won a lot of awards and so
Yeah.
on and so on. And obviously, it's getting more and more difficult to sustain that because the amount of coverage you can get is declining because of the way people are consuming media.
Also pay to play marketing is
Exactly.
very much a thing.
Exactly. So that's the one thing. And the other thing is, even though you had 2-figure growth each year, then obviously it took a giant leap when Corona came, especially around lockdowns.
Yeah. everyone
Because
moved
if you
to
can't
online
be there
shopping. Yeah.
yourself, what do? You send
You
flowers.
send flowers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that had a big contribution.
That had
Yeah.
a big contribution as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And also the online behaviors of people, instead of going down to the local florist, they're like,
Yeah.
no, I'm just going to order it online.
Yeah, and from the first lockdown, the sales figures continued to be high because, as you're saying, we were getting new buyers in who hadn't been there before and experienced, okay, wow, this is easy.
Yeah.
And that experience that you could go in, if you needed a bouquet to go out on the same day, you can wait until 5 minutes till 2 o'clock to order it and still get it out on the same day.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool.
That's nice.
That's insane.
Good service.
That's really cool.
That's really cool. And you can do that, and people would just, when you get new buyers in, and they just keep coming back, and obviously getting signups, which are being utilized through the AI, where it can actually do the right reminders, so the retention rate also goes up.
Yeah. Yeah. This could be Anne's birthday again.
Yeah.
So
very interesting.
Oh, does somebody have a birthday soon?
Yeah.
So you're not too creepy.
Yeah.
You're sort of like in the middle here, like.
Yeah.
Are you forgetting something?
Yeah, exactly.
You're forgetting someone's birthday.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Very cool.
What's the thought? Actually, that's interesting since you've been on both sides. What's the thoughts when you guys start on, all this hero content you guys have done that's win awards, and do you solely base it on occasions like Mother's Day, these kind of key dates, or have you guys explored minor occasions?
Actually, Interflora has the same Mother's Day commercial that they've been running, I think, for 8-9 years, and it just gets better every year. It's amazing, and it's actually the only Interflora movie, commercial where people are talking.
Okay.
All other commercials do not have flowers in them.
Okay.
No talking, and only a close to a small movie scene going on. And no, it's as generically emotional as possible.
Okay.
So you would still have a love story in one of them, which can be used for Valentine's Day, but it can be used any day. You'll still have a story about loneliness for Christmas, but that can be used in June as well. So it's still generic, but it can't be used especially for those occasions.
Was that a purposeful tactic, or did that just happen?
That was a purposeful tactic.
Yeah. So you guys said, how do we build like the Lego bricks of marketing in some ways, like that can be attached to things and like built into different things? Exactly. That's a good way to stretch budget. I think that, and I think that there's nothing wrong with familiarity. Like, I mean, running the same thing over and over again. I mean, we see that with the Tuborg Christmas ad. It's like people almost like get used to like expecting that. Like, when am I going to see this ad? And I think that's
remind you of a certain season.
Yeah,
or, coming up.
I think that's a nice way. That's where you kind of want to get to with your marketing, where people are like expecting a certain style and a certain tone of voice. That's a brand that that you've built, right? So it's cool. Yeah. Very cool.
Where do you see the industry go? I mean, now you left it, but I do believe
the florist industry.
Yeah, I think so. Like also using the AI tool maybe for e-commerce like that is really powerful. I mean, I know you have left it, but I think you must have some ideas of where it could go.
Yeah, well, the industry, the online flowers industry anyway, has grown a lot. And so for the last couple of years, we have seen a lot of competitors coming into the market. Obviously, makes sense. And the way the competitors are coming into the market is actually a different business model, whereas they do the production themselves and deliver themselves. So the big USP that Interflora still has is the fact that you can do the same day order and delivery until 2 o'clock.
Yeah. That's pretty powerful. I'm so blown away by that. That's amazing.
That's amazing, and that is powerful. But it's also dangerous, because that means that you need to have florists. So you have an interdependency.
Yeah, that's true.
You have an interdependency, and you have a margin share on the order as well. Whereas coming in just doing normal floral business, producing and delivering yourself, makes you again able to make more money. And the other thing is that if there's something you can be absolutely sure of, is that the bouquet, you go in on Interflora, see the nice picture, see a nice bouquet, and you order exactly that one because that's what you want. It's not going to look like that because somebody is actually working with the live material and making the bouquet from bottom up. Whereas
there's some risk in that. Yeah.
Whereas,
I've experienced that, where it's like they ran out of a certain thing.
Yeah.
So they call and be like, "Hey, I don't have that. Can I replace it with.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, whatever. I don't know what the other one looked like.
No, but that's great. That's amazing when they do that. But not everybody does that. And
They just replace it.
They just replace it,
Yeah.
and you'll order something yellow and something purple gets delivered. But a strength in that is that you had back in the days. I don't know what it is now, but you had back in the days 98% of people being very happy with what they received. And why is that? Well, that's because when Chris gets home to, not Anne, what's your wife's name?
Ina. My wife's name is Ina.
Ina. So when Chris gets home to Ina,
Yes.
and he sent her a bouquet,
She's going to be happy. She don't
gonna
care if
be
it's
happy.
yellow, purple.
She's gonna hug him, and she has his favorite dinner ready, and everything is perfect.
How wholesome.
And when Chris sees that, okay, I ordered something yellow and this is purple. What is this? First thing he's gonna say is not, I didn't order that. That's wrong. He's just gonna be, okay, yeah, great, everything worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. No complaints.
Yeah.
complaints.
Yeah.
No complaints.
Any flowers is good flowers.
Exactly. So that's a big advantage.
Yeah. That's a cool insight. Yeah. That's
also, it's the thought that counts, right? It's not the actual product, but it's what it symbolizes. So it's
It
always
is, but you still want, if you ordered
a dozen roses or
Nike
whatever.
shoes,
Yeah.
you don't want yellow Nike shoes.
It's a totally different
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Even though the receiver is happy. It's-
I think the only way you could really screw it up is like the card gets messed up.
yeah.
to Anne.
Yeah, exactly. That could be a problem. Or like, yeah, it's like sending,
Yeah.
red roses with a naughty message to the funeral or something. Like that's it's a
Oh,
little bit
no.
like, okay, what happened?
Complaint.
Yeah, exactly. Why does it say to my sexiest little kitten? This is weird. This was
Yeah,
for my
that's not a good
grandma's.
thing.
This was for my grandma's funeral. This is not okay. But I totally understand what you mean. Like you guys
Yeah.
have a high, your product brings joy in sort of all forms,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It's a interesting product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's facing any challenges moving forward as well? Not only opportunities, but
Price.
Okay,
Because
yeah.
just as everything else.
Yeah, people want it cheaper, faster, better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cheaper, faster, better. Faster is going to be difficult, but cheaper and better is possible.
yeah,
Because
or environmental friendly. I guess that's also kind of
Yeah,
maybe a
source
topic.
locally.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we live in Denmark, so it's not possible.
No, there's no flower growth here.
No,
right?
there's no flower growth, and even though there was flower growth, it will still be in these big, what do you call them?
Greenhouses or
Greenhouses.
whatever. Yeah.
So it won't be
So you
environmental.
can get
Yeah.
dandelions.
And that's another thing about flowers, because people, again, the first assumption in people's head is it's flowers, it's environmental friendly, it's a live
Yeah.
product. But again, even though you think that, you still expect the bouquet to last at least a week. How is that possible? You just removed its source of life.
Yeah. It's not going to last a week.
Yeah, and and it got up here from Holland,
Yeah.
and so on.
Had some transport. And,
So it's and then you'll have people selling dry flowers and colored flowers. That trend that exists. some
I
years
only
ago.
have dry flowers in my home because I can't keep live stuff. To be
Yeah.
honest, it dies on me, man. It's so it has to be dried and
Yeah.
okay. That's interesting.
yeah. Cactuses, I can't even keep those. alive.
Cactuses work for me as well. I mean, that's what you see a lot around
They're so
here. I
hard.
mean, even the giant bird of
I
paradise
need some
there
tips.
needs
Can you
some-
guys leave some comments? I don't know how to to keep my live plants alive.
It's
well,
got water.
Too much water, maybe.
It's too much.
Yeah, and then you'll have the challenge of being a market leader, which means that every time somebody new comes into the market, there's one place they're going to take market share from, and that's going to be the market leader. And if that product lives up to the expectations of the one who receives it, then they'll probably stay there. The customer is loyal as soon as their expectations are met.
Yeah.
If they are at a cheaper, better place, then they're going to stay there. So that's obviously a challenge. And again, 5.8 million people. If you deduct all those who are below 18 and so on, then it's 1.2
Small
million
group.
orders. Yeah, it's beginning to get difficult to
Yeah.
achieve more orders.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're almost reached the addressable market. Like, where else does it go, right? It's not that many people who are buyers in some ways. Like, you kind of reach the
Exactly.
Yeah, it's I don't know how much more you guys Interflora could go, right?
No, and when you look at the average price, which is around 450,
Yeah.
then how many 450 gifts worth DK worth of gifts can you give per month?
Yeah.
You need to have a big gift budget
Yeah.
to be able to do that. And that's also why, which could also be a risk for the future, is that so far for many years now, it's been in a way where I used to say that a person comes into Interflora's target group when they're ready to get a mortgage loan, because that's when they grow up and that's when they have enough money to actually think about somebody else. So addressing young people, they're not going to buy a gift for 450 Danish crowns to somebody else, and then they really need to think about somebody else, and they don't do that to think about themselves until they're established.
Yeah.
Especially when you have kids, you go into the Danish target group, because then you understand what you did to your parents.
What you have to do stuff for others.
Exactly.
Let's give Momo some flowers because we now understand what she went through.
Exactly.
Right? That's how it is, yeah.
Yeah.
What about where are you headed now? Because this is the next part. I know you probably can't reveal anything, and maybe there is nothing yet. Maybe you're just like sorting out your next move. But I think a lot of listeners would want to know what's next for you.
I actually have no idea. I just made it public. The beginning of last week, I think.
Yeah.
And that was after a nice long summer vacation. And I've actually been. I stopped on the 16th of May.
Yeah.
So I've had 2.5 months, and I thought, okay, now it's time. People are back from vacation and so on. So the only thing is, I know I'm never going to find a job again like the job I had for 6 months, because it's always different. So I'm actually pretty open and just looking into what comes along. A perfect scenario would be something within e-commerce that has an ambition to really grow.
CMO of a global e-commerce opportunity.
Yeah, or even local.
Even local. Okay.
Yeah, but something who wants to grow and scale.
Interesting. I'll keep my ears open.
Thanks.
I think I have some ideas already.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We've had a few e-commerce brands on that, I think, but I think almost like in some ways there's an opportunity for many brands that probably don't think they're e-commerce to go e-commerce. And I think
what do you mean by that?
Well, take for our business, for example, like, could Cubco be a subscription service? Could Cubco be a, purchase your next social strategy online type of thing? Like, is that, I think there's lots of goods and services that need to rethink how they approach the market in today's world and be that sort of provider. Okay. So I think there's lots of room, like even within sort of subscription services, within, like, for example, like Wagyu Pusher is a friend of one of our client service director. Like, they're selling meat online, and you know them, right? And very specialized meat. I think there's also room for very specialized products to be sort of delivered in e-commerce, something that you're not used to getting e-commerce. But and I also think that when you've had the growth, there's a significant growth across almost all industries that you've had for these many years, then innovation stops, because you're busy enough just making sure what comes in from your basic kind of business, and then you don't have time to innovate. And why is it necessary? Everything is going fine. So you don't do that, and then that's the issue. The dangerous part.
That's dangerous.
You need to think about taking yourself out of your own business. Like, you need to think, like, how do we cannibalize ourselves in some ways, because if you don't, somebody else will.
Exactly.
And I think that's the hard thinking for a lot of these brands that haven't really gone, who's coming for us? Who's coming for the crown? And then, make sure that you're ahead of them. So
Okay.
You're right. So interesting. Well,
Yeah.
we'll be watching. And if I think of anything, if I hear from anybody, I'll.
And then you
I'll
have
let
to
you
be
know.
our client. Otherwise, the lead will not go out.
What? Yeah, no, we're not gonna. No. That's not a like a.
No strings attached.
No strings attached.
Great.
No.
Thanks.
Only your soul, but that's fine.
We just want you back on the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's all that we ask.
True, yeah,
No problem.
that could
Yeah,
be
no
interesting.
problem.
Yeah,
Very good.
thank you guys for sharing. And so here you have it, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And this was Zvi and Chris.
What's my name?
And
I'm Ann. I'm dating myself.
so here we have it. Zvi and Chris discussing the evolution of Interflora, and hopefully you had some nice business tips and inspiration along the way from a former CMO.
Good job, you.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
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 This has been the Social Media Sucks Podcast.